Hola a todos y bienvenidos de nuevo a mi canal. If you're learning Spanish, you're probably making mistakes along the way, and that's totally fine. It's all part of the process. The key is to recognize those mistakes and correct them before they become habits. Today, we're going to cover 9 common mistakes that learners make when learning Spanish. I'll also share with you some useful tips to help you to avoid them so that you can speak more confidently. I'm Chelsea, a native level Spanish speaker with both a bachelor's and master's degree in Spanish linguistics. As a Spanish language instructor and tutor, I've seen these mistakes made by my students time and time again, so I'm here to help you avoid them. Before we dive in, if you're serious about learning Spanish quickly, be sure to check out my Spanish Fluency Masterclass. It's the perfect starting point for beginners. And in this masterclass, you'll learn how to perfect your pronunciation, how to understand real-life conversations, and more. The link to sign up is in the description below. And if you're looking to accelerate your journey to fluency, I invite you to apply for a discovery call with me. The link is in the description below as well. Ahora vamos a empezar. Now, let's begin. Let's start with a common mistake that English speakers make, adjective placement. In English, we typically place adjectives before the noun, but in Spanish, adjectives usually go after the noun, with a few exceptions, but for the most part, in Spanish, you will see adjectives placed after the noun. For example, in English, we would say the big house. So big here is the adjective, and we would place big, the adjective, before the noun house. But in Spanish, this would translate to la casa grande. So here, the adjective big, meaning grande, in Spanish is placed after the noun house, la casa. So in Spanish, la casa grande, if we were to translate that sentence literally, it would be the house big. But in English, we say the big house. But in Spanish, la casa grande would still translate most accurately to the big house. Another example we have is the red car. Here we have the adjective red to describe car. But in Spanish, we would say el carro rojo. If we were to translate that sentence literally, the car red. But it translates most accurately to the red car. In Spanish, el carro rojo, the adjective placed after the noun. In English, the red car, the adjective placed before the noun. But in Spanish, remember to place the adjectives after the noun in most cases. Some of the exceptions to this rule include the adjective new, meaning nuevo, in Spanish. Many times you'll see the adjective nuevo placed before the noun, and this is done to place emphasis on the adjective new. There are more exceptions to this rule that I won't go into more detail in this video, but if you're interested in learning more about the exceptions of certain grammar rules in Spanish, be sure to apply for a discovery call with me through the link in the description below. Another big mistake involves the verb ser and estar. These two verbs mean to be in English, but they're used in different contexts. One of the most common errors is using the verb ser when you should be using the verb estar for temporary states or emotions. For example, if you wanted to say I'm tired in Spanish, a common mistake that beginner Spanish language learners make is to say yo soy cansado, or if you are a woman, yo soy cansada. This would be incorrect. You would need to use the verb estar for temporary conditions or emotions, and so instead of saying yo soy cansado or yo soy cansada, you would need to say yo estoy cansado or yo estoy cansada to say I am tired. Estar is used for things such as emotions, health, and temporary conditions, whereas ser tends to be used for permanent traits or characteristics. You can use the acronym PLACE to help you to remember when to use the verb estar, which stands for position, location, action, conditions, and emotions. And you can use the acronym DOCTOR to remember the uses of the verb ser, which stands for description, occupation, characteristics, time, origin, and relation. The next mistake that I commonly see beginner Spanish language learners make is using the wrong verb for asking. In Spanish, there are 2 verbs for to ask, pedir and preguntar, and they're not interchangeable. Here's the difference. Pedir is used when you're requesting something or asking for a favor. For example, voy a pedir una pizza. Pedir can mean to order or to ask for. However, preguntar is used when you're asking a question to get information. For example, voy a preguntar por la dirección. I'm going to ask for the directions. So remember to use pedir for ordering or requesting and preguntar for questions. Before we move on to the next tip, if you're looking to avoid mistakes like these and start speaking Spanish more confidently, check out my Spanish Fluency Masterclass. It's the perfect place for beginners to get started. In this course, we'll cover pronunciation, real-life conversations, and more. You can find the link to sign up in the description of this video below. Common mistake number 4 is the incorrect use of muy and mucho. These two words are both translated as very or a lot in English, but they're used in different contexts. Muy is used with adjectives and adverbs. Por example, estoy muy feliz. I am very happy. Estoy muy cansada. I'm very tired. Whereas mucho is used with nouns and verbs. For example, tengo mucho trabajo. I have a lot of work. Or, tengo mucho que hacer. I have a lot to do. So the rule is simple. Use muy for adjectives and adverbs, and use mucho for nouns and verbs. Another common mistake when learning Spanish is not using double negatives. While double negatives are grammatically incorrect in English, they are completely correct and often necessary in Spanish. For example, if you wanted to say, I don't have any car here in Spanish, a common mistake that beginner Spanish language learners would make would be to say, no tengo algún carro aquí. So beginner Spanish language learners would use the word algún to mean any, but the correct way of saying this sentence in Spanish would be, no tengo ningún carro aquí. I don't have any car here. So here we would use ningún instead of algún because we would need a double negative. In Spanish, we need to use the double negative structure, no plus ningún. So the correct way to say, I don't have any car here, is no tengo ningún carro aquí. Make sure you remember that double negatives are a proper part of Spanish grammar. Another classic mistake is using an article before professions. In English, we say, I'm a teacher. But in Spanish, we don't need to add the indefinite article un or una to translate the phrase, I'm a teacher. For example, to translate the phrase, I'm a teacher into Spanish, many beginner Spanish language learners would translate this sentence as, soy un profesor. But the correct way to say I'm a teacher in Spanish would be, soy profesor, for a male, or soy profesora, for a female. We drop the article in most cases, but there's an exception when the occupation includes a descriptive adjective. For example, if we just wanted to say she's a teacher, we would translate this sentence to Spanish as es profesora, with no article. But if we wanted to say she's a dedicated teacher in Spanish, we would use una. So this sentence would translate to Spanish as es una profesora dedicada. She's a dedicated teacher. Here, the adjective dedicada calls for the use of the indefinite article una. So just remember, when you talk about occupations, don't add the article un or una unless there's a descriptive adjective included with the occupation. Common mistake number 7. Here's a small but important mistake. Using un before the word otro to translate the word another into Spanish. In Spanish, we never use the indefinite article un or una before otro or otra. So if you wanted to say, I want another dress in Spanish, a common mistake would be to say, quiero un otro vestido. This would be incorrect. The correct translation of I want another dress into Spanish would be, quiero otro vestido. So there is no need to include the indefinite article un before otro. And for feminine nouns, if you wanted to say, I want another blouse, a common mistake would be to say, quiero una otra blusa. But this would be incorrect. The correct way to translate this sentence would be, quiero otra blusa. I want another blouse. So just remember, never add an indefinite article before otro or otra. Just leave it as otro or otra. If you want to learn more about how to speak Spanish confidently and correctly, be sure to check out my Spanish Fluency Masterclass. This masterclass will help guide you step by step on how to improve your pronunciation, comprehension, and grammar. And you'll be speaking more naturally in no time. Click the link below to join today. And if you're already ready to accelerate your journey to fluency, the link to apply to book a discovery call with me is in the description below as well. Now here's a mistake you may be using when using the verb buscar. In English, we often say look for something. But some learners translate it literally into Spanish by saying buscar por. This is wrong. In Spanish, you don't need the por. For example, if you wanted to say I'm looking for a notebook in Spanish, a common mistake would be to say estoy buscando por un cuaderno. This would be incorrect. The correct way of saying this sentence would be estoy buscando un cuaderno. I'm looking for a notebook. Por is not needed. Here's another example. If you wanted to say, I'm looking for a computer, you would say, estoy buscando una computadora. So here once again, you would not need to use por after the verb buscar. The last common mistake that beginner Spanish language learners make is using capital letters too often in Spanish. In English, we capitalize a lot of words, like days of the week, months, and nationalities. But Spanish uses capital letters much less frequently. For example, the word Monday in English would be capitalized, but its translation into Spanish, lunes, would not be capitalized. The month January, enero, would be capitalized in English, but enero is not capitalized in Spanish. And finally, for nationalities, for example, if we were to say Panamanian in English, we would capitalize the P in Panamanian. But in Spanish, its translation, panameño, would not be capitalized. We would keep it in lowercase. The main exceptions to this rule are people, cities, countries, and titles of works of art like books or movies. For example, Madrid and España are capitalized. Madrid and Spain. The novel, 100 años de soledad, only the first letter of this title would be capitalized and the rest would be lowercase in Spanish, but its translation in English, 100 Years of Solitude, each word would be capitalized. However, in Spanish, for days of the week, months, and nationalities, there would be no capitalization. If you're ready to stop making mistakes like these and finally speak Spanish confidently, I highly recommend you check out my Spanish Fluency Masterclass. This course will guide you step by step to help you improve your pronunciation, comprehension, and grammar, and you'll be speaking more naturally in no time. Click the link below to sign up to get started. And if you're already ready to take your Spanish language learning journey a step further and accelerate your journey to fluency, I invite you to apply to book a discovery call with me through the link in the description below. That's all for today's video. I hope these tips help you to avoid some common mistakes and improve your Spanish. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more helpful language tips. I'll see you next time. Hasta luego.